Here's Monique Kerr.
On a Tuesday and the sun's going down while we hide in the shade. I booked a table in the breeze. Come walk your mind with me, let's talk through this life. Well, I'd never thought of that before, but she said this time you're not allowed to show yourself the door, and I thought I just might have found what I've been looking for to survive. Come on and tell me what you want. Oh, what is it that you like? What do you despise? It's Tuesday at 3 and you make me feel alive. It's 3 o'clock on a Tuesday and the incense floats like wine through the haze. A distant memory. If you want me to go deep, it's thoughts that I desire. I guess my mother did decide, yes, she said this time we're going where it's safe to sleep at night, where children won't cry and crawl through the rubble and the fire just to survive. Come on and tell me what you want. How much more would you like? Who gets to choose who can sleep at night? And while we're watching it all fall, the children bear the weight of the trouble of it all. Who they gonna if it were you or me, could we bring them back to life? It's 3 o'clock on a Tuesday and the sun's throwing down while we hide in the shade, a distant memory.
That's Monique Kerr there from her show Do You Love? And we've actually got Monique here, thank you, in the studio. And wow, good sound. What do you reckon?
Oh, that was amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
Beautiful.
Very, very nice. And did you write these songs?
I did. I wrote all of the songs, yes. I wrote the show myself. I wrote all of the songs after interviewing people on the streets in Adelaide, Sydney and Melbourne, and some people online as well, but mainly in person, asking them why they think they exist and having long-form conversations with strangers about that question. And then, yeah.
What was your strike rate like?
Pretty high.
Yeah?
Pretty high. I mean, I didn't just jump out at anybody. I think you've got to be smart about the way that you approach people. You don't want to get in anyone's way. I don't want to ruin anybody's day. So I would do a lot of observing and sort of see that somebody might look open or, you know, which sometimes was correct and sometimes not. People were usually polite when they declined, and you just don't argue with that because why would you bother? But yeah, I very carefully kind of approached people that looked like they had time. And then off we went. The strike rate was really high.
So where did the the idea, the notion, is it sort of Trent Dalton inspired?
Where did it come from?
Yeah.
It came from a few things, but I would have to admit a slight existential crisis on my part.
All right.
Of myself observing the world and how difficult it is, or how difficult I was finding it at the time that I was writing this show. And my observation of other people really struggling and claiming that they love, that it's all full of love, and that's how we got here. That's how we got in this situation, because we just love everything so much. And rather than falling into pessimism and feeling defeated, I thought, well, perhaps we do, but we may have forgotten how to, or perhaps we don't connect with each other enough and we're all glued to our screens and walking around with a device in our hand.
Well, there is a lot of that going
perhaps
on.
I don't know anyone around me who is a stranger on the street, and why can't I? Why can't we still connect? And I'm very, very curious, and I didn't want to sit around and get stuck into overthinking or... God, it's a very common question, and I always find it difficult to answer, because I think it also changes as the show evolves and as the world changes in whichever direction it's going to go next. And I don't think that focusing on the tragedies in the world is an excellent thing to do, but also ignoring them is terrible, because it's real. So it's how do we minimize harm and look at where we are and be together and get out of it in a positive way that's real, that's not toxic positivity.
Yeah,
how do we get together? How do we work together in love?
I'm glad to hear you use that terminology, toxic positivity,
Sure.
because it's something that probably doesn't get mentioned terribly much, but it's certainly really something that we're all contending with in different ways. I mean, it's great to be positive, but to me, toxic positivity embraces or encompasses things like people being relentlessly optimistic in the face of absolute trauma and tragedy, where there needs to be a more rational response rather than a...
Sure. It's almost dissociative, I would say. It's shallow, and it's just... It's the other side of the coin, isn't it? But what's in the middle?
Yeah, the middle ground is really where we want to be most of the time, even though it sounds a bit sort of insipid. When you've got America suddenly being ruled by someone who has no regard for positives in history and that sort of thing. Oh, excuse me, it's my turn to cough. It's sort of like, where are we headed now? They're calling Canada and Mexico an enemy, which is just ridiculous, and they're starting trade wars, and they're removing their support for the Ukraine. They're suggesting that the Ukraine started the war with Russia.
Yeah, I've been following it. It's disgusting.
All sorts of ridiculous things.
I don't know if I can even talk about that on air because of my opinion and how fiery I get about that. Well, ask my housemates.
It's really hard to have any kind of conversation about it, because it defies kind of logic and rationality.
Oh, it's almost surreal. But I think something else with this project that I came across and wondered when I was approaching and thinking about interviewing people. First, I checked in with my brother, who I often check in with when I have an idea that might be a bit, am I mad? It's like, wait, hang on, am I having a full crisis and need some serious professional help? Yeah. Or am I genuinely curious and would like to ask people? So I often check in with him, and the latter was true, so that was great. That was affirming. But also, life is really complex, and we have personal issues, interpersonal issues, and a lot of love and a lot of light and a lot of struggle. We have everything in this melting pot, each one of us, but we share it, and we do not talk as much as we think we do, or maybe would like to, or could rather than should. And something I've really enjoyed with this show as it's progressed is honor feels like a big word, but I am representing other people's stories. So at the start, it's me, it's Mon. Hi, I'm here. This is my show. Yada yada. We're going to do this thing. But each of the songs is written by me, but through the conduit of the person I interviewed. And that shaped the way that the melodies were formed, the way that I wrote the piano accompaniment, the way that they're sung, whether they're in character or not. And people were very, very, very honest and vulnerable. The things that they were willing to talk to me about were things that I'm not sure that anyone would just chat to a stranger about that on just a normal day. I mean, I would, I suppose. But you know, it's and to have an audience sit in the room and listen to those stories, and it doesn't have to be too intellectual. It's about sharing humanity and sharing people. And I think if you're sitting in a room hearing somebody's perspective or belief, and you can resonate with it, and you might be in a room with other people who resonate with it, it can be quite moving, particularly if it's just someone. You know, it's not about, I don't know, some prestige. It's just, this is who we are in the fabric of people in your community.
So where did you go? You say you were in places like Melbourne, Sydney, Adelaide asking questions. Was it just sort of outside on the street anywhere, or?
I went to all like different locations. So I went into the CBD, and I travelled around to different suburbs as well in those cities, just to try and make sure that I did get a variation of different people from different backgrounds and different age groups. So I really wanted to make sure that I was asking everyone and anyone. Yeah.
Yeah. How long did this take? How long did you put into that part of the process?
I started interviewing in December 2020.
After COVID?
2023.
Okay.
And then I finished interviewing in sometime in 2024, maybe it was. I was in Adelaide, and I think it was the winter time. So maybe about 6 months, but I wasn't full-time interviewing over 6 months.
But it was a part of your activity over a fairly long period of time by the sounds of things.
Yeah, and also interacting with people online through Instagram, because I like to bring that online world into the real world as well. And I think, so I would just ask that question in the little, you can put a little comment box on a story.
Yeah.
Like, why do you think you exist? You know, or what do you love? Or I often ask people questions, and then, but I do record the answers. And
so, what if you were asked by a stranger on the street a question like this? Why do you think you exist?
Why do you think you exist?
Well, Monique, I think she came from a good energy, a good vibe. She was able to get these, and she's very authentic, and she was able to get these real honest answers. If you're not coming from that way, it's not going to be reciprocal. You're not going to get it back. So I think you've done a great job. I've heard your music prior to you having to talk about it. It sounds beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
It's really well produced, isn't it?
Yes.
It's got a real good feel to it too.
I was very lucky to have somebody called Damien Charles. Shout out to Damien Charles. Amazing engineer and producer.
And you're on in, I'm not going to pronounce it correctly, the Ibis, is it? Ibis?
The Iris.
Iris.
The Mercury Theatre in the Iris room, which is a very intimate space.
The one sort of up the back, go in the foyer and up the little corridor. And
Yeah, it's a smaller cinema
you can actually go into
room.
it from the behind of the building as well. Yeah, they've got glass doors at the
Good to
back as
know.
well.
Yeah.
But probably best to go in through the front, because that's probably where they've got it all set up to pay and buy a drink and all that kind of
Yes, you do actually have to pre-book as well. That's something that I learned. You need to pre-book tickets if you want to come.
You
You can't buy them at the door.
No, because they're volunteer run, so the person behind the bar isn't there to sell tickets, they're just there to sell the drinks and candy.
Yeah.
So
Coffee and tea. I popped in there today and had a cuppa. It was really nice.
Oh, look, the Mercury is brilliant.
It's such a great vibe. Such beautiful people.
It's a really good little venue, and they've had some terrific shows through Fringe. I don't think they usually do, and I think they've been testing the water this year, and it's been going really well, because they have subscribers that go and see their films. And so I think probably quite a few of the subscribers have said, oh, I'll go and see a couple of Fringe shows as well. So they, I haven't been able to get along myself, but I've heard that things have been going pretty well.
I'll see you there between the 18th and the 23rd of March.
18th and the 23rd. Yeah, well, hopefully. You know, it's so difficult to get to see everything. In fact, I'd say it's almost impossible, given that there's 1,000 shows on.
Yeah.
It worked out that one person could potentially see 35 shows if they went out every night. But the trouble is...
you have to eat?
You've got to eat, you've got to sleep, and you've got to have time as well after seeing a few shows to actually absorb what that show was and to jig it around in your head and regurgitate your response to it.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, you kind of get like the point that I've gotten to at the moment, which is a little bit fatigued.
Yeah.
And someone says, "Oh, you know, this is going to be on. Come along," and I just think, I'll see if I can, get myself there.
And you want to be present too.
Yeah.
You know, that's the thing, like live performing, live theatre is so wonderful because you are in a room with other people, like as a performer and an audience member. Like I'm always really aware of that we're all there together and it's different every night because you feed off each other. Even if there's a set script, it can't be the same. And if it was always the same, I think you'd be doing a disservice to the art form because you've got to feel and vibe each other. But then as well as an audience member, I feel the same. If I'm rinsed and can't be there, I feel like, oh man, I'm so sorry. I can't be here with you.
Nothing worse than sitting in an audience thinking, oh, I'm just too tired to really get this.
Please don't interact with me. God, please, no.
Yeah. That's why I like, these gigs that are out in the garden.
Yeah.
You sit you can see birds flying around, you can feel the breeze, you can feel the sort of nuance of the temperature of the day. You can get up and go and get a cigarette. You can get up and go and get a drink, you can go to the toilet, you can sort
Kombucha.
of... Just
helping you out there.
Thank you. You can
Pay me later.
You can be yourself, but not feel like, you've got to behave inside. You've got to behave, you've got to be polite, but you don't have to sort of behave inside a venue quite the same.
Yeah, different etiquette.
I love an outdoor show. I would
say, though, I don't think anybody, if you want to come to my show, needs to behave necessarily too much. Or you'll be encouraged to, I'll be misbehaving. So
it's typical cabaret fare in that regard?
I suppose. I don't know if it is. It's typical me. Fair.
Okay.
So I've got a band, and there are other cookie ensemble moments, and there's puppets, and we cover a lot of ground, as you would expect when you ask people on the street that kind of question. They can come out with anything, and some people came out with really beautiful, deep, reflective things, very angry things, very strange things, very funny things, very sweet things, very sad things. And I tried to cover it as much as that as I could, and then kind of tell it through this almost, I guess, sort of psychedelic disco world. So we do go to another world. It is a bit, the colouring of the marketing material kind of gives that away a little bit thematically, but musically, the style of the music also, I'd say, varies because it's based on the mood of the person and how they were feeling and how our interaction was feeling. But I'm just saying it's a casual environment.
Okay.
That's what I'm trying to say. Sorry, I'm waffling on, aren't I?
No, it's all right.
Sorry.
Radio, people are listening. They want to hear something.
Yeah.
So besides me yawn or cough or get a name wrong. Monique Kerr was an absolute standout with incredible vocals, said Theatre Travels. Exceptional musical prowess with a powerful vocal range, said Beat Magazine. Wonderful, beautiful voice, Matt Tribe, ABC. So, I mean, and clearly we've heard a couple of the tracks and they are really sweet and lovely.
Very nice.
So... there's all of that. The interesting thing on the back of your handbill is that you've got these QR codes.
Yes.
Tickets, video, and Instagram. Now, that's a little bit different, a little bit smart, I reckon.
Oh.
I mean, I've seen QR codes before, but I haven't seen different ones that offer you different options, and I think that's very clever. And you might be onto something there. In terms of showing people, you can look at me here, you can look at me there, or you can buy tickets here. It's very, very smart. It's something that I think people are starting to get used to, the old QR code bizzo.
Yeah.
It's creeping in bit by bit, more and more, generally speaking, into the world where you need your phone to access all of these things. But
it can just be easy if you're walking past and you're like, oh, I'm vaguely interested in that. What is it? And you don't have to take a photo or write anything down. You can just go and have a little look.
Yeah,
take you straight there.
Just get Google Lens to basically pull you into wherever it is or whatever the app is that you use.
I was putting QR codes on posters 13 years ago.
Really?
Yeah, but not. I'm not saying that as like I'm really ahead of the game. It was just something I found out about, or someone had shown me, and I was like, oh, that makes sense. But everybody was just kind of freaked out, like, what is this weird thing? And then when they started popping up around, the COVID lockdown period, especially some from Victoria, so it was really hardcore.
A long time.
Over there.
Yeah.
I was like, here, those QR codes are back. Nobody's going to turn their nose up at me now.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think you're right. 13 years ago, it was kind of an odd thing to see.
Yeah, it was weird.
And everybody didn't have the same sort of smartphone.
Yeah.
So,
including myself, I didn't have a smartphone, so it was like, what was I doing?
I was forever trying to work out, what is that? And then eventually found out. But like all of these things, they do become integrated to the extent that everything is on a QR code just about these days. So I'm waiting for a piece of fabric that has a range of different QR codes on it.
I went to an amazing exhibition the other day. It's called Gagami, and it was a holographic piano concert by Ryuichi Sakamoto.
Oh.
And the way it works is, rather than it being, this is relevant, by the way, sorry, rather than it being that you're wearing VR goggles and sort of the world is inside the glasses, you're wearing goggles that help you detect different sensors and holograms that are being sort of shot through. So if you take the glasses off, you see nothing. You put them on, you see a totally different world. He appears playing the piano and you're flying through the universe and you can walk around in the space. But it was in a large circular room, and there were different lights shooting different things, but also in that circle underneath that were different giant QR codes. Looked like QR codes, or maybe symbols, I don't know, but it looked like they were transmitting information to each other as well.
Wow.
Unless someone's listening to this and thinks I'm an idiot, and they can like text in and be like, no, actually it's something else. But I'm starting to see them everywhere.
An amazing sort of movement happening in the tech side of things, where there's much more interactive entertainment coming out now. It's been around for a little while, but it's just starting to emerge in a more kind
the
of
future.
Yeah, well, we'll see how it goes, because again, culturally, we're in such a weird place. We've had such a strange kind of shift from liberal-mindedness towards closed-mindedness, and it's been kind of weird the last couple of years, this year and last year particularly. So it's hard to know where things are headed, other than the pendulum is swinging, as they say. It swings one way and then it swings back the other way. I wonder if is that me or you or somebody?
Not me.
Yeah, I don't think it's me either.
Not me.
And Lord only knows. You see, there you go. There's a sound coming from somewhere.
Probably my phone.
No, I don't think so. It's not lit up or anything. It's just sitting there looking dark, like mine, like yours. So weird.
Touch on that in the show too, not to beat me.
No. You go ahead.
But Robot Dogs. There's
away.
a song called Robot Dogs, and it does touch on the idea of like, what's the future going to look like? Or will we be feeding robot dogs in the future rather than our, blooded canine
Yes,
friends?
feed him some power steering.
I look
Some brake fluid.
Oh God.
I look forward to the day when they
WD-40 over the
start.
top of some steel shavings.
Yes.
Oh no, I'm really not a fan of the robot dogs that exist as well. Like, I had a visceral reaction to them.
Creepy
I saw them
ass.
and I can't get around that. Actually, can't do it. And I'm not really a no guy. Like, I'm pretty very open-minded. But they really got me.
Are you talking about the ones that they use in Japan for people who are lonely, that sort of dog? Or are you talking about?
No, I'm talking about the patrol dogs.
The ones that have
using.
a really weird gait and walk really quickly.
Yes, the ones that were featured in the series Black Mirror.
Okay.
Which, they exist in real life and exist in all sorts of ways.
They're doing security work all over the place. Yeah. It is scary, isn't it?
It is. We can come out of it with "Do you love me?"
They could find a happy medium between the ones that are so cheesy that they've made in Japan, and the ones that are so sort of futurist, ugly, brutalist kind of looking.
Weaponized and controlling borderlines. If a hacker can hack them and get them to do some street dancing, get the robot dogs to start doing backspins and flips and grooving out.
I would be
delighted if somebody
do a little bit of jumping upside down and all that.
That'd be great. Somebody get onto it, write the code.
Yeah.
Infiltrate the robot dogs, get them shaking it.
It would be. It would help a lot.
It'd be great.
So let's just recap. So, because you mentioned earlier that you have to go and pick up your missus.
Yes, I do.
And you've got to go and do tech.
I also have to head off soon. Yeah.
That's okay, because I've got stuff to play.
Great.
For the listening audience. Tell us again one last time, Ken Wilson, this Sunday. No,
this Saturday.
Saturday.
2:30 at the Garden in the Piano Bar.
Woo-hoo.
The Garden of Unearthly Delights.
Yes.
It's on the corner of King William Street and East Terrace, isn't it?
No, Rundle Street.
Rundle Street,
East Terrace.
Right.
Yes. So come along. It's
free.
Beautiful. It's beautiful. Stage, very family orientated. It's under a bunch of trees. And usually there's a cool breeze blowing through.
Yeah, it's
plenty of food,
pleasant,
and drink.
Great.
Come along.
Here's some good.
Yeah.
You do some music. Covers?
Oh, I can do some covers. I've got some originals. It's about love, healing. It's about my journey, and we can throw a few covers in. If they want to hear a big cheer, more, I can quite happily throw some covers in.
For sure. Thank you very much for coming in today.
Well, thanks for having us, David.
Really appreciate it. Love the fact that you could sit there and sing a couple of your songs too, which was really sweet.
And also to hear your journey, Monique.
It was nice to meet you.
Yeah, very interesting. Thank you for sharing that.
Oh, my pleasure. Yeah, nice.
Do you have a flyer?
I do. I can give you a flyer. Yeah, we can do that.
I'll give you this one if you like.
And then I can replace it.
But Monique starts tonight or tomorrow night?
I actually start on the 18th. So I'm running from the 18th of March until the 23rd. So it's another week out.
So you've still got time to buy your tickets.
Yes.
And
your tickets.
Get your tickets. Yeah. Is it?
Yeah. So I've been postering and flyering today and talking to people. And
you want to go and knock on the door of all the other community radio stations around and get yourself out there because you've got the tracks. They can play a track. They can have a chat with you.
Yeah, a little chin wag.
Yeah. Excellent stuff. Thank you very much. You're on, from the 18th at the Mercury in the Iris. And
correct.
It's at what time of day?
7:30 p.m.
And it's about an hour long?
Yeah, it's an hour long.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's
an hour long.
Really good. So people that are really, really keen can come out, see it, and go and see another show afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely. Get an early dinner, or have a snack afterwards, or... Yeah, I'd love to see you down, and I always love talking to people after the show as well, and asking them why they think they exist, because I'm a curious little
creator. Thank you both for coming in very much. I'm going to play a track now to let these folks out. It's from a chap called, I do know that I've got his name written down, Ekram Eli Phoenix. This is a track called Reveal from Gravity and Other Myths.
So